Hello and welcome to Cinema of Blood. My name is John, and today I've got 5 horror movies, let's start that over. Hello and welcome to Cinema of Blood. My name is John, and today 50 years of horror movies continues. I've got 5 spooky movies from the year 1998, and I'm going to say that as I was setting this up, because I have a little table and a little shelf that I put my camera on. I got everything ready. I got my chair in front of the little desk. I got the little shelf on here. I sat down and realized, well, you got to put the camera on the table so you can film the video. So that has been remedied. So yes, here we go. All right, so the first movie I am going to talk about is Apt Pupil. And this is directed by Bryan Singer. The screenplay is by Brandon Boyce, and it is based on the novella From Different Seasons by Stephen King. So I was just thinking about that, and I'm going to get into the plot in just a minute here, but of the 4 stories or the 4 novellas in Different Seasons, the only one that hasn't been made into any kind of movie or anything, as far as I know, maybe I'm wrong, is The Breathing Method. All right? Because the Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption, The Body, those were filmed as The Shawshank Redemption, of course, and Stand By Me, and then, of course, now Apt Pupil. Apt Pupil, what it is about a high school student played by Brad Renfro who finds out that his neighbor, played by Ian McKellen, is a Nazi war criminal hiding pretty much in plain sight under an assumed name. And the rest of the movie and the rest of the book becomes this sort of psychological game of cat and mouse, manipulation, blackmail, whatever you want to call it, between these two. You know, and it's just kind of one of those things where, like, if you got this high school kid and he's hanging out with a Nazi war criminal, yeah, there can't be too much healthy going on up here in this kid's brain. And that's kind of what the movie and mostly what the novella explores. All right, so yeah, that's pretty much the premise of Apt Pupil. Not a bad movie. I did enjoy the book a lot, or the story a lot better, but not a bad little movie. And of course, you've got Ian McKellen, and he's just a fantastic and very dedicated to its craft actor in the first place. So there you go. All right, next up, let's move on to a little bit of silliness. Next up, we've got Bride of Chucky. And this is directed by Ronnie Yu. It is written by Don Mancini. Of course, Mancini created the characters of Chucky and all those. It stars Jennifer Tilly, the voice of Brad Dourif, he's Chucky, of course, Katherine Heigl, and John Ritter. All right. So what it's about is you got one of Chucky's old girlfriends before he became Chucky, when he was still Charles Lee Ray, and she steals the Chucky doll. And she's trying to basically where it'll bring him back to life and bring his body out or whatever. And something goes wrong, and she gets transferred into this doll, a Tiffany doll, a little white wedding dress. And of course, she glams it up and makes it tough as hell. And they kidnap this teenage couple. And they go on this, killing spree in this SUV or one of those big one of those big motorhomes, you know, because they're going to use the 2 teenagers to be able to put their souls into the teenagers and be human again. You know, this is such a fun movie. I love Bride of Chucky. It is probably my all-time favorite Chucky movie. And I did enjoy the later movies like The Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky, which went back into more of a horror. But this movie is just an absolute, I'll say it this way, it's a hoot, okay? I love the hell out of this freaking movie. I mean, to me, this movie is natural born killers with puppets. That's what Bride of Chucky is. It's just fantastic. If you've never watched it, you got to check it out. All right. Anyway, moving on. I'm going to shut up about Bride of Chucky. Moving on, we have got The Faculty, and this is directed by Robert Rodriguez. The story, or the screenplay, or the story is by David Wechter and Bruce Kimmel. The screenplay is by Kevin Williamson, who of course also did the screenplay for Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer. All right, so the movie stars Josh Hartnett, Jordana Brewster, Clea Duvall, Laura Harrison. I forgot to say Elijah Wood. It also stars Elijah Wood. All right, so this is kind of one of those Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Puppet Masters style movies. In fact, both those movies are mentioned in this movie, where this alien entity comes to Earth, and it basically, like the Thing, it takes over your body, you know, and changes you. And you can tell when a person's been changed. It's like beginning, and it's kind of Invasion of the Body Snatcher style, because they're like all cool and everything when they're human, but then when they become like infected or changed or whatever, they're just like, oh yeah, yeah, I'm cool. You know, they're just like super stoic and all that. So it's up to Elijah Wood and Clea Duvall and all those characters I mentioned to try to find out what is going on. And most of it takes place at like this, the school they go to. That's why it's called The Faculty, because it's the faculty members that are getting, you know, changed. All right. So they got to figure out what's going on with this. This is another one of those movies. It's just a lot of fun. I went to see this movie on a whim, and I just thought, you know what, I'll check it out. And I thought, oh, I forgot, it's a Robert Rodriguez movie, and I like his movies. So I'm like, I thought maybe I'm going to have some fun with this, and I did. So another one, if you've never seen it, give it a shot, because I really think you'll enjoy it quite a bit. All right, so there we go. That is The Faculty. Okay. Did I skip a movie? No, I did not. Okay, because I did Bride Chucky. All right, next up, we have got Urban Legend. Slasher movie. Slasher fun. Anyway, this is directed by Jamie Blanks. It is written by Silvio Horta. All right, it stars Jared Leto, Alicia Witt, and Rebecca Gayheart. All right, so what is this movie about? Oh yeah, and Tara Reid too. So what is this movie about? This movie is about a slasher, serial killer, or whatever, who is killing people in accordance with the old urban legends. Like the first one, if you remember the urban legend about the woman driving home from the mall and the truck's behind her and he keeps flashing his lights at her and flashing his lights. He's scaring the crap out of her. She pulls into her driveway. He pulls in right behind her, gets out of the truck, and it turns out there's a guy in the back of her car, and he's shining the lights because the guy raises up with an axe or something to try to kill the woman. And you know, and when he shines the lights, he moves back down, so it saves her life. Then, of course, there's one about the babysitter, or the one about the woman, the girl that goes into her room, and her roommate's like, you know, don't turn on the light, you know. And then she wakes up the next morning and she's murdered, and this thing's like, aren't you glad you didn't turn on the light? Big letters and blood and stuff. That's what Urban Legend is all about, okay? Oh yeah, and Robert Englund has a role in this also. He's a professor. He's like a professor of urban legends. Kind of cool. And future Lex Luthor. Michael Rosenbaum is also in this one. But yep, that is Urban Legend. Okay. Oh, and speaking of Alicia Witt, I actually have one of Alicia Witt's CDs. She's actually a rather accomplished musician and piano player. And does not have a bad voice at all. She's actually quite talented, and she's a redhead, and that's a big plus right there for me. Anyway, okay, I'm going to shut up about that. Next up, finally, last but not least, we have Vampires, and this is also known as John Carpenter's Vampires, and this is directed by, guess who? John Carpenter. The screenplay is by Don Jacoby, and it is based on the novel Vampires, and a altered spelling of vampires. The S is a $sign when you look at the book, by John Stakey. That's Steakey, but I love the fact that a guy with the last name of Stakey wrote a vampire novel. Get steak. Oh, never mind. All right. Anyway, this stars James Woods, Daniel Baldwin, and Cheryl Lee, and also Thomas Ian Griffith. He plays the vampire. I can't remember what the vampire's name is. It's like Valak or something like that. But anyway, so James Wood, and he's got this group, and they're vampire hunters, and they're vampire hunters for the Vatican. So they just go in, find vampire nest, wipe out the vampires, get paid, move on, and that's what they do. All right, but they run up against Valak, and he is an ancient and very powerful vampire. So the rest of the movie is this battle or war or whatever between James Woods' guys and Valak and his army of vampires. Another one that is just a lot of fun. All the movies on this thing, I can't believe, the thing about it is this list today, all the movies on this list have been are just quite a load of fun. I think the only one that comes close to it, well, Apt Pupil, yeah, that's not fun. That one's not a fun one, but the last four are just fun. They're just fun to watch, especially Bride of Chucky and The Faculty, So, yeah, but anyway, that is the premise of vampires, and that is going to do it for this installment of 50 Years of Horror Movies. This is from 1998. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time, take care and stay scared. Bye-bye.